Hi viewers, in this video we will see chapter 10 ICD changes for the year 2023. Chapter 10 is diseases of the respiratory system. This category starts from J00. Coming to the changes. For acute respiratory acidosis, chronic respiratory acidosis, there are specific codes in 2023. And new code has been created for transfusion associated dyspnea. Coming to the acidosis, this acidosis has been covered in chapter 4 changes, but still there I have missed few points. Hence, I would like to cover those points now. The first one is, we have seen the definition of the respiratory acidosis previously also, just we will review once again. The respiratory acidosis develops when there is too much of carbon dioxide in the body. That means the body it was caused when the body was unable to remove enough carbon dioxide through breathing. So coming to the 2022, if we'll go by alphabetic index, for acidosis, either lactic, respiratory or metabolic acidosis, the code is E87.2. Whereas coming to the 2023, it has been expanded as E87.20, 21, 22, 29. So E87.20 for unspecified type, and for lactic acidosis, it is E87.20. For acute lactic acidosis, it is E87.21. For chronic lactic acidosis, it is E87.22. Coming to the metabolic acidosis, NEC is E87.20. Acute metabolic acidosis is E87.21. Chronic metabolic acidosis is E87.22. Coming to the respiratory acidosis, the code is E87.29. Acute respiratory acidosis is J96.02. Chronic respiratory acidosis is J96.12. Other specified type should be reported with E87.29. Coming to the acidosis. So, till now we have reported for all these types of acidosis with E87.2. Whereas in 2023, for acute metabolic and lactic acidosis, the code was E87.21. And chronic metabolic and chronic lactic acidosis should be reported with E87.22. And if the type was not specified, it should be reported with E87.20. That means for metabolic and lactic acidosis have same codes, whereas for the respiratory acidosis, the codes are different. For NOS, it should be reported with E87.29. And acute respiratory acidosis should be reported with J96.02. That means acute respiratory failure with hypercapnia. Chronic respiratory acidosis should be reported with J96.12. That is chronic respiratory failure with hypercapnia. And one more thing I would like to mention here. For diabetic acidosis, we have a different codes for depending on the type of the diabetes and associated complications. This diabetic acidosis complication has codes for all types of diabetes. That means either may be due to underlying condition or may be due to other conditions or maybe type 1, type 2. So based on the appropriate type, assign appropriate E code. This was already, it is not a new rule, but it was already existing rule. So there is no change in this. Just I would like to mention that select, check the appropriate type and assign appropriate E code. Coming to you see here lactic acidosis, metabolic acidosis, the codes are same. If any underlying condition is there, code first the underlying condition. Okay, and acute respiratory acidosis, chronic respiratory acidosis are not included in these codes. So they should be reported additionally. Coming here, respiratory acidosis is 29. Lactic acidosis and metabolic acidosis, the codes are 212, 20, 21, 22. This is about respiratory acidosis. Next one is transfusion associated dyspnea. It is a transfusion reaction and it is an acute respiratory distress occurring within 24 hours of cessation of the transfusion that does not meet the definitions of an allergic reaction, transfusion associated circulatory overload and transfusion related acute lung injury. It is a significant complication, hence new code has been added. It does not fit into any of the definitive entities, but it is clinically significant. Hence, the new code has been created, that is J95.87, transfusion associated dyspnea. These are the two changes in chapter 10. Now we will see summary. Acute respiratory acidosis should be reported with acute respiratory failure with hypercapnia, that is J96.02. Chronic respiratory acidosis should be reported with chronic respiratory failure with hypercapnia, that is J96.12. Transfusion associated dyspnea should be reported with J95.87. This is a new code. And also few points regarding acidosis. For diabetic ketoacidosis, based on the type of the diabetes, assign appropriate E code. Whenever you are coding acidosis, if any underlying condition is known, please code that underlying condition as a primary diagnosis. This acute respiratory acidosis and chronic respiratory acidosis are excluded from the acidosis category, so hence code them additionally. And for lactic acidosis and metabolic acidosis, codes are same, but for respiratory acidosis, the codes are different. Please keep watching. We'll meet you in the next video with few more changes. Please share and subscribe our channel.